Welcome to Your Music Saved Us, where two friends blast ourselves into the past to relive and recontextualize the alternative Christian music we grew up listening to in the 1990s. My name is Jay, and I'll be your host for today. With me is someone who is talking down, but ain't down. Clifton. Clifton, how are you today?
Looking down my nose at people. Yes.
All right, good. That kind of fits.
I get accused of that a lot, even if I don't mean it.
Well, that fits this era of, our lives.
You're right,
and the music.
It very much fits this. I'm a prophet, Jay.
Oh, there we go.
That's my spiritual gift, so I get forgiven for any kind of assholery.
Oh, that's how it works? Huh.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know. That's good.
That's why you want to be a prophet.
Yeah.
Don't be a servant.
Yeah.
Never. That's for the women, Jay. That's for the women.
I'm sorry, I'm going to already digress just for a second. Did you watch that Shiny Happy People documentary at all, Clifton?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, so like the one spiritual gift that all the women got was mercy, where all the men got all the other ones, and it's just, yeah. Wow.
Exactly.
Really ridiculous. By the way, if you haven't seen that, I do recommend it. I know a lot of people have talked about it, but it's quite good, listeners. But speaking of listening, Clifton, what are we listening to this week?
I am here to spread the good news of the Kreepdowns. And they only have one album, so we're going to talk about it. Take a Spin.
And I think this album is, 25 years old now this year? Is that right?
It is 1998. Yeah.
Okay. Clifton?
Now I'm not excited anymore.
How did we go about listening to this? Was this hard to find?
Yeah, it's not anywhere. We did put it up a while back on YouTube, and it is still there, and that is the only place to listen to it.
And I'll say I was looking at the comments. There are some comments, so some other people were grateful that we put it up there. So clearly there's a little bit of a thirst for this. And
yeah, and it's very curious because, we'll get into it in a minute, but his other bands aren't up anywhere either, so I wonder if he has an aversion to streaming services, or I don't know, we'll see.
Or they're all just on these labels that like have gone bottom up and no one's
true.
Either way.
Yeah, that could be it.
Well, let me ask, was this played in youth group?
No.
Yeah, not mine.
No.
Okay. Are we getting preached at?
We are.
Okay.
It's more clandestine, I think, but I think we're still getting preached at.
Okay,
yes.
well, all right, I'm curious about this, because I went through the lyrics and was basically just like on every song, I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
Yes.
Because they're very vague. So good, okay, all right. Not that I'm looking forward to getting preached at, but I'm curious where this is going. So, okay. All right. Yeah. Well, before we go on, I want to remind everyone to visit patreon.com/YMSU to contribute, get extended episodes. Hopefully we're going to have some bonus episodes up really quickly, right, Clifton? Hint, that we've already recorded. Like Jay,
okay, so here's the thing. Like, every time we record, I'm like, this is so much fun. I got to keep doing this. And then, like, a few days later, I'm just like, ugh, I got so much stuff to do. Why does this have so many demands on me?
I know, like real jobs.
Yeah.
So maybe if we had 100 more patrons, we could both quit our jobs.
Oh, that's great. Maybe I'll take a sabbatical just for the podcast.
That'd be pretty amazing. I feel like you could in your position, possibly. I mean, it might not be the best career move, but
right? Yes.
Okay. Well, anyone, please consider contributing if you like the show. We are working on getting some extra content up there for you guys. And yes, I will remind everyone we both do have 2 full-time jobs, which is why we struggle to get the stuff out as we do. But hey,
so many excuses.
I know. Whatever. This is a labor of love, right?
It is.
Okay. Clifton, tell us about the Kreepdowns.
All right. So, from my perspective back in the 90s, the Kreepdowns seemed to come out of nowhere, but of course, there's more behind the scenes than that. Michael Masuik is originally from Costa Mesa, California, which is just south of LA, kind of in the Irvine region. He first appeared as the drummer on the 1987 Darker by Christian band The Children. The Children was kind of a forerunner to Michael J. Pritzl's The Violent Burning.
Ooh.
Yeah. In 1989, Michael and his wife, Laura Masuik, released a demo for their band Acoustic Shack, which at that time was known as Autumn Rose, which, from what I can tell, what people say, it's kind of more folky type stuff, although we do have one song, I think, which is from that demo.
So it's from Acoustic Shack, right? Not Autumn Rose.
Yeah, we do have one song from Acoustic Shack that is from the demo, I believe, or at least it's from the Blonde Vinyl. So Acoustic Shack got signed to Blonde Vinyl, and Blonde Vinyl republished the demo and then did one more album after that, a self-titled album in 1993. And of course, Blonde Vinyl is Michael Knott's record label. So let's listen to a little bit of that here.
Sometimes I wonder how it is I do what I do. What pushes me to do the stupid things that I do. And when I do, it goes beyond the stars on every move.
Clifton,
It's that.
I'm slight spoiler alert. I'm really glad the Kreepdowns don't sound like that. Because it would
Me too.
be torture to listen to an entire album of that.
Well, when we get to the end of this, we're going to hear a lot of people lament the fact that the Kreepdowns don't sound like that. I guess that was more popular than the Kreepdowns. I never heard that at the time, honestly, and I don't like that.
I mean, that
But,
sounds
it's-
very early 90s, right? Like very much early 90s.
Yeah, you can, there's... Yeah, and it has kind of some 70s rock influence to it and some folk influence to it, and it's just a different kind of music.
It's not like this at all, yeah.
Right, yeah. So there's that, right? There's that. In 1993, Acoustic Shack released their second album, I guess, Fret Buzz, on Broken Records, which was produced by Gene Eugene. And then in 1996, Michael started the Kreepdowns. So I'm going to read a little bit here from banddoppler.com. Like many bands nowadays, this was of course in 1998 that were being written. Like many bands nowadays, the Kreepdowns actually started as a side band of sorts. Michael has been involved with a band called Acoustic Shack for many years with his wife and Ed Binrock, who now also plays in the Kreepdowns. But he really felt the need to do something with a bit more edge. Michael explains how it all came to pass. Quote, I was just in between bands. I really wanted to rock. Bands I was in were good and all, but I wanted to do the Kreepdowns. I started off playing in punk, surf, rockabilly bands. I really liked the English punk rock, Pistols, The Clash, etc. I like melodic stuff. The first band to do anything that I played with was The Violent Burning. I quit that band in 1990, then I played in some popish, punkish bands, and then Acoustic Shack fell together. I always wrote my own tunes, knowing that I would do the Creeps one day. My own tunes meaning not stuff for the acoustic alternative band Acoustic Shack. Then came the limbo time and the Creeps formed. Michael and Ed hooked up with a couple more musicians, Howard Miller and Pat Guyton, I don't know, and recorded their first and latest album, Take a Spin, independently over a span of 4 months. Michael states, I'm 100% satisfied with the record, exactly what the goal was musically. We had the studio and time to do it like that. The messages were very scattered, not one in particular. Some lyrics are like psalms, struggling in this life and crying out to God. Some others are just righteous indignation. So, the lineup of the Kreepdowns is Michael Masuik on vocals and guitar, Howard Miller on guitar and backing vocals, and I can't find any other credits for Howard Miller. Now, you just heard Pat Guyton mentioned on bass, who would go on later to be in the 2000 release of Fan Mail. But he isn't on the album. On the album is Herb Grimaud on bass, who was in Raspberry Jam, and then would later go on to be in The Violent Burning, Stranger Kings, and The Sound Gallery. And then on drums is Ed Benrock. He was the drummer on some previous Acoustic Shack albums and some previous Ellis Underground, but also Mortal, Starflyer, Michael Knott stuff. All right, a little bit from the band's website. So, by the way, the band's website you can find it on the Wayback Machine. It's kind of I had a fun experience trying to figure it all out because it changes over time, and then it disappears for a while, and then it comes back, as just Kreepdowns.com instead of thecreepdowns.com, and then it eventually dies a slow death on MySpace like all good things.
Which, like, I know we'll talk about this, but this is the only album they ever did. And I remember when we were looking at this, like, the website lasted quite a while. And they bothered even changing the domain name, right?
Yeah,
like,
it goes in 2006. Yeah.
So almost 10 years, but they never put out another release that we at least know of.
Correct, yes.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And like, the website's redesigned at least 3 times. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, so from their website, this is their kind of About Me section. And from the early website, the Kreepdowns fashion an amalgam of breathy melodies, dreamy, languid soundscapes, echo-laden guitars, and shimmering feedback, with the swirling, distorted guitars of the Smashing Pumpkins and the independent energy of the Pistols, Ramones, and the like. The band loses themselves into the raw passion and driven energy of their post-punk sounds. First conceived of in Old Orange County, California back in 1996 by singer, songwriter, guitarist Michael Misuik, the band took their first infant breaths. Soon Michael teamed up with guitarist Howard Miller, bassist Pat Guyton, and drummer Ed Benrock. Deep, honest, and introspective are the elements which create the band's music. On their sharp debut, Take a Spin, on Betty Rocket Records, the Kreepdowns define their emotive sound and creativity within the context of pop songwriting. Produced by Masuik and mixed by Gene Eugene, the album shows bright and sparkling. And then that sentence just ends. But I feel like that's not a full sentence.
I agree.
The music rings deep and passionate, with tracks standing out like Go Now, Hey Butterfly, and Red Ready. Presenting the Kreepdowns, dreamy post-punk to soothe your soul. Alright, then I also want to read a little bit here more from banddoppler.com. They soon cut a deal with longtime friend Philip Von Reed, of Betty Rocket Records, and they now have national distribution and a growing fan base. They play shows regularly and will be playing a lot of the major fests this summer. Currently, they play mostly clubs and bars for a few reasons. Michael explains their venue choices. Churches are hard for us. We love churches, and we go several times a week, but we don't really like playing concerts there. We feel we need to perform under lights on a stage. I think church may have a place for that. We've done it, but I kind of feel weird about it. I don't like merchandising, etc. in a church. That's weird. Plus, I think our message in our music is to reach unsaved people. I hope. I mean, that's the reason we are here. And then, in 1998, this album, Take a Spin, was released on Betty Rocket Records. I think it was originally maybe released on Red Moon Records independently, but then it also says it was released on Spruce Top. I don't know.
That was good background. Thank you.
Cool. All right.
So, Clifton, when did this come into your life?
So, I don't remember how I found it specifically. Like, this would have been the first release I ever heard from Betty Rocket Records, so it wasn't that. And I don't honestly remember seeing ads for it or anything, so I don't know how I found it. Like, the cover's horrible, so I don't think I was like, man, I gotta listen to that album. So I don't really know how I found it. Was this
like a Christian bookstore discovery at some point?
I mean, definitely, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's where all my music came from at that time. So, I mean, by default, I probably listened to it at the Christian bookstore. Maybe it was just sitting there as a demo, and I was like, well, might as well listen to this.
Okay. Do you remember how you felt about it at the time?
Yeah, so, I don't remember if this came out, like what part of 1998 this came out in. So I don't remember if this was the summer of 98 or 99, but 98 makes more sense. I think I told you last time I was working at a machine shop that rebuilt oil pumps. And it was my job to kind of take the pumps apart and clean all the parts. And I was just in like a room by myself doing this every day, 8 hours a day by myself. So I brought my boombox, as you did back in the day, and listened to music. And I remember listening to this album over and over and over again. So I must have loved it because I listened to it a lot. Like I have visceral memories of being in that room listening to this. Yeah.
Did you feel like it played a big role in your life or any other specific memories with it?
I don't know that probably at the time I didn't feel like it was that influential, but I think it probably was kind of like transitioning between, more kind of punky alternative stuff and more emo-y kind of stuff, more indie rock kind of stuff. I think this is kind of a stepping stone in there. Yeah.
All right, fair.
Yeah.
Any songs that you remembered?
Yeah, Red Ready, Cello, Spiritual Beast. Yeah.
Okay.
Did you ever listen to this back in the day?
No, but I remember seeing it, and I think you're right. I think I saw the cover and was like, I don't know what that is. I don't really like
Yeah.
And Betty Rocket Records, it's funny you mentioned that because I was trying in my head to think what other bands were on that
Like
label.
at this point there was like Frito Boat, and they had that ska craze mix.
There's also Screaming Giant Records, and I feel like I'm getting those maybe slightly mixed up in my head. Bands. that
Yeah,
were on
definitely.
those.
Like Screaming Giants definitely
That was
less
like
produced.
Yeah, like I felt like you had your Tooth and Nail,
Right.
and you probably had like, I would even probably say like, like Jackson Rubio or one of those other kind of labels like that, or Bulletproof or something. And then I felt like maybe like Betty Rocket was a little below that. And then
Yeah,
Screaming
definitely.
Giant was probably below that. Like,
Yes. Screaming Giant was definitely a lower quality, less distribution. Not quality as far as the band, but like quality like production, right? Like the money behind it. The biggest thing for me on Betty Rocket was the next year, 1999, Noggin Toboggan's first album would come out.
okay, right.
Yeah.
Was that band Anguish Unsaid? Did you ever listen to them? I mean, you probably might didn't, because I think they were more like hardcore, but they had keyboards.
Yeah, I did listen to them, yeah.
I think they might have been on Betty Rocket. I have to look back. This is a mystery, but
Yeah.
yeah, I remember kind of seeing ads for it and maybe posters and stuff, and just for some reason I just never even listened to it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was just into other stuff at the time, or it wasn't on Tooth and Nail, or what. I don't know, but yeah. Do remember seeing it. Don't remember listening to it.
Right. Okay.
What were your thoughts before you went back and heard it again? Like any expectations? How did you think it was going to be?
Well, honestly, I've actually gone back to listen to this a few times over the years.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. So I remember, like, production-wise, that it was well done, but I didn't have a very good memory of it, like, the songwriting and the album, But I remember, I firmly still remember, like I said, Red Ready, Cello, Spiritual Beast. I remember them being, simple songs, but good songs. Yeah, and that's what I found, I think, on this. And I was like, this is solid. It's nothing groundbreaking, right? But it's just a nice, solid album to listen to.
Yeah, I think I actually agree with you on that. Like, most of the songs are not super complicated. They're fairly like typical song structures and stuff. But it's really not bad. I agree.
Yeah.
In fact, like, I think Betty Rocket kind of got a steal on this. Like, it kind of
They did.
came to them already like done. All they had to do was like distribute it. Like,
Yep.
It's not bad, and it makes me wonder, and maybe we'll get to it at the end, like why nothing else ever came after this.
Yeah. I mean, part of it's probably that Betty Rocket maybe didn't know how to market this,
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about it later, but I kind of compare this in my head a little bit to Quail. Do you remember them?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, because it has kind of that like post-punkish, kind of post-grunge type thing going on to it, you know, firmly in that like mid to late 90s alternative world, you know. So yeah, I think if I don't think, like I said, the cover's horrible. The album title's horrible. Take a spin. But the Kreepdowns is a great name. But you kind of feel like they're more like the Deadlines or something like that, right? Where it's gonna be like this, like creepy punk, you know? Yeah.
The fact that it's the creep that, yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, should we jump into it?
Let's do it.
Okay. Well, Clifton, start us off. Song number 1, Spiritual Beast.
All right, so this song kind of swings back and forth between this like fairly chill, low energy of the verses that have a really fuzzy guitar playing some pretty simple like 3-chord riff, and it's kind of buried in the mix. And there's also kind of like a tremolo guitar like on top of it doing like a little riff, and the tremolo is like the what, like where it kind of the volume comes in and out, you know? And it has kind of like the drums have a lot of like this like rim tapping. So it's like this really kind of sharp thing, you know? And then we get into the chorus, which is much faster, or at least it feels faster, higher octane. It almost feels a little bit punkish. And I'm a big fan of Michael's vocals, which is probably one of the reasons I like this album so much. They're somewhat unique for being a nasally tenor, which was very popular at the time, especially in, you know, the punk and the grunge world. And when he gets screaming, I think he, like I said, I kind of compare this to Quell a little bit, but I think he has kind of a similar quality when he gets to screaming, kind of that scratchy voice that the vocalist for Quell has. That's not like a scratchy voice, like, you know, like some baritone scratchy voices that are maybe very popular, like names I can't think of right now. Who's the guy who does Werewolf in London?
I have no idea.
All right. You know what I'm talking about. Everyone out there knows what I'm talking about. I'm just bad with names, okay? But there's like, okay. To get into a little bit of the song specifically, though, there's like this, it kind of expanded chorus about halfway through the song, which I really like. I'm going to play this. You can hear his vocals. They're pretty obnoxious, right? Don't talk to me. Don't like, but they're still good. Like, I like it. I don't know. It's obnoxious, but I love it. Okay. So there's and you can hear the fuzzy guitars in there and everything, you know. And then there's this little like, how am I gonna describe this? Over what is the chorus kind of instrumentation, there's this part later on that's like woo, which I think is really nice. There's the songs kind of break down into this kind of vocal lead sometimes, and I think they honestly should have done this more often. There's a few times where they get a little too guitar god-ish for me on some of their solo type things, and I wish they had done this more often.
To make me fall.
Overall, though, I think the song is a nice little. It's kind of has a nice groove to it, you know. Has some manic moments which get faster. It sets a good energy for the album as a start off. It's setting kind of a somewhat unique aesthetic, at least in the Christian world of music, that I don't think I'd heard anywhere else. But is still kind of firmly rooted in that '90s post-grunge, post-punk alternative sound.
Yeah, I really liked, you played a portion of it right there. I really liked the beginning with that like kind of drum click like the
Mhm.
way it came in. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but I kind of like the verses more than the chorus, even though the chorus is revved up. And normally I like the fast stuff, but it's such a shift in this song that I kind of prefer the more, like the part you just played, the more
Yeah.
chill kind of. It's just got a nice, like,
Yeah.
repeating kind of thing going on.
It's more of that Dinosaur Jr. thing, you know, kind of what we heard in God damn it, I'm so bad.
If you said Dinosaur Jr., then I'm going to say Mer Babies.
Merbabies, yes, right. That super fuzzed out guitar, you know, just a little bit chill and grooving, you know. Yeah, let's listen to the first of it.
You spin in that picture. You had a choice. As a matter of fact, but I couldn't see through your silly voice.
Go ahead.
No, I was just say when that fuzzy guitar came in, immediately I wrote down Smashing Pumpkins though. Like,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
I've not even listened to the Smashing Pumpkins that much, but I was just like, oh, immediately that's what that reminded me of. Like, just
Very
that
much,
tone
yeah.
is very much Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah, and you know, and I don't even like the Smashing Pumpkins that much. Like even the stuff people told me that I need to listen to because I'll love it, never really got into it, you know, but that's just, you know, the fuzzy guitar is amazing. And I think his choices on kind of the rhythm of the vocal delivery, you know, I could listen to that like just all day. You know?
Yeah.
Like, just write a bunch of songs that sound like that, basically, that have a little bit different, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, should we get into the lyrics?
Yes, I'm going to go ahead and tell the listener for pretty much every song I just wrote down, like, is this about this? I don't know. Question, question, question. Hopefully Clifton does.
Yep, Clifton has a better idea. No, I still don't know. But
Well, they're all vague enough that it could be about, like, somebody could say it's about this, and you're like, oh yeah, yeah, and then somebody else could say, oh, it's about this, and you're like, oh yeah, I see that too. Like,
Yes.
it's kind of that level of vague. So,
Mhm.
yeah, let's go through them. It's not that long, so.
All right, what since you don't have a lot to say about the lyrics, why don't you read them so we can get some of your voice, and I won't feel bad later on when I'm editing this that it's me talking the whole time.
Okay. So it's, you were sitting in my picture. You had the hair of choice. As a matter of fact, you thought I couldn't see through your silly voice. And then the chorus is, you're talking down, but you ain't down. Quit talking down to me. The next verse is, don't try to take my money. It's all I have this week. And don't you tell me to pick up the phone now, spiritual beast. And he says, my conscience overwhelms me. That's when you got control, but you don't have the power to make me fold. And that's it.
Yeah, you missed one word.
Uh-oh.
And at the end of the chorus, you're talking down, but you ain't down. Quit talking down to me on TV.
Oh, I don't have that in my lyrics. Okay.
Really? Yeah, it's hard to hear.
That
Did you not get the
actually
lyrics
helps.
from the website?
That helps. I got it from some other website. That helps
Oh.
make so much more sense with already the meaning of the song. Okay.
Okay.
Those
Yeah,
two words were
okay.
pretty crucial to understanding.
They
this, so
are.
we're going to see why. All right.
Okay. So the first thing to consider with these lyrics is that Michael has said that this band isn't a ministry, as we heard a second ago, but he hopes that Christ shines through everything he does. I'm going to read a little bit here more from that Band Doppler website, which did an interview basically with them.
Okay.
All right. So while they don't consider themselves a standard ministry band, they do have a heart for reaching and influencing the lost. When asked about their focus as a band, Michael responded, quote, just to do what we do best, we can rock. I don't mean that lightly. I mean play music with passion and intensity. Not aggressively. Just straight ahead. I don't know why that was important. Just straight ahead. And I pray that God uses the band as a vessel to lead souls to the kingdom of Christ. End quote. They don't do anything in particular to minister to an audience, but they do let the Spirit move them in that area. Quote, unless the Holy Spirit comes over me, we just play. I spent time on the lyrics. I hope I don't have to explain everything, you know? It's like art. When it's explained, it kind of loses meaning. Each song is taken a little different way. That's cool. We try to live for Christ 24/7, not just on stage, you know? hope we're always ministering, even in the band. But there's a problem with the definition. So I just say we're a band. We're Christians. 97% of the record is about the Christian walk. The other 3% kind of is too. All right. So the other thing to consider here when we're looking at lyrics is that in the packaging, in the liner notes, there's this weird spiral of words. Can you see this, Jay?
Mm-hmm.
This has kind of, so the lyrics aren't in here, by the way. The lyrics are, there's a little note that says that you can go to the website to get the lyrics, which is what I did. And I sent them to Jay too, so it's not like
Yeah, it's all right. I
from
just
you.
couldn't
You
find
just,
the link, so I Googled it and found something
There's a lot of
else.
links in for it to be fair. But there's a little thing here that has each song, and then it has a little, a few words here of I don't know, a phrase, right? Okay. This one says, an Irish man once said, "My God isn't short on cash, mister."
Okay.
So, to go back to these lyrics, I think this is pretty clearly about something that is refreshing to hear coming from a religious album. Most churches don't speak out against hucksterism too loudly because they're in the same business, honestly. The 90s saw a lot of fallout from the rise of televangelist grifters in the late 70s and the 80s. Probably most notably Jim Bakker's conviction on federal charges of embezzlement and fraud. But, we also had the 700 Club, Trinity Broadcasting Network, and there's just a big feeling that there was a lot of, faith healers and televangelists out there that were out there to get the money of old people, and especially poor people. And that's what this song is about, it looks like, is that he's saying that those people need to quit it. Yeah.
Makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah. Yeah. This is probably one of the most straightforward songs on the album when you get that part to it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anything else?
No, it's good. I'm just looking at my notes. I'm like, is this about Satan? Is this about temptation?
Yes,
don't know.
both of those. It's about Satan tempting people. And the thing is, we still have a huge problem with this today. I mean, and today it's the grift has grown strong. Like, these people have gotten good at what they do.
And I think, I hadn't thought about it till you said that, but I think back then, the only avenue you had to get this was on TBN or TV.
Mm-hmm.
But now there's social media and there's all these other outlets. So it doesn't look just one way. And I think sometimes it's harder to spot because of that,
Yeah. Plus, there's been kind of a theology of sorts built up around, what do they call it? The
prosperity gospel?
Prosperity gospel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. In that if you just gotta have faith and give that money and God will bless you back.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what was going on so much back in the 80s and the early 90s with the televangelists. Back then it was more just like, help us, you gotta give till it hurts so that we can get the message of God out there, And God love them. You got some old people out there who are like, yeah, I got to give till it hurts. And they're on fixed incomes, living off of welfare, and they're writing those checks for these televangelists. And I don't know if you remember living through this, Jay, but that was kind of a big thing on the news back then, was kind of old people losing everything, kind of to giving everything away because the thing about old people is they don't have great memories, right? So they might give their entire savings away and then not remember it, and then do it again the next day, right? So
yeah, no, it's a good point.
Yeah. All right.
Well, should we go into song number 2?
Let's do it.
All right, Clifton, tell us about Select.
All right. So for the beginning of this song and into the very short verse, we get these great kind of squealing harmonics from a fuzzed out guitar between some melodic and even more nasally vocals somehow. I want to listen to that. love how heavy that bass comes in there when it hits. It's just like yeah. And that very quickly, honestly, turns into this kind of catchy riff that opens into the chorus. And the chorus, and I don't know why I love this so much, but I do. It has like this charming little like keyboard riff thing, and that's kind of buried with the fuzz guitar. I'm gonna keep.
How did we get this bloody mess? My deep frustrations drive me. Consider that I don't select. Consider that I don't select.
So you hear there the vocals. The vocals for the chorus are kind of this background singer saying "Can't stand the beauty," and then Michael comes in with his overly nasal vocals, finishing that I don't select, and "don't" has way more syllables than you think it should have.
Don't. Right.
Exactly. The one thing he doesn't do here, as much as I think we've noticed a lot of these kind of 90s Dinosaur Jr.-ish, fuzzed out guitar bands, is he doesn't have like this faux Southern accent. He does do lilting stuff, but he doesn't have the accent, right?
Yeah.
So anyways, I don't know. Maybe I just love some fuzzy guitars and some squealing harmonics, but I like it. I like this song. The second verse and chorus, pretty much the same as the first, but like they honestly hit a little bit better even for my ears. And then the second chorus kind of ends with this, well, I'm just going to play it because it ends with this kind of like, ah! And then it goes into kind of a fat, chunky guitar solo that's nice and simple and poppy. No guitar godding here, I don't think. And even some fuzzy guitar kind of thing of that like replicates the chorus. I don't know. Wall of sound, fuzzed out guitars. I think there's like 4 guitars there going on. It's great. Jay, do you love it as much as I do?
Actually, I do. This song is a little bit strange because it starts off kind of like minor key sounding, but then shifts to this really kind of cleaner, poppier sounding chorus.
Right.
And by this point, by song number 1 and number 2, what I put in my notes is this band reminds me of definitely Smashing Pumpkins.
Mm-hmm.
But then also, and I would say I'm proud of myself because I wrote this before I read who was actually in the band, and I was not far off. But also, I'm reminded of the Violet Burning at points, and like full band, so more like Aunt Betty's or something like Mike Knott, like that kind of thing going on. I especially hear that in the chorus of this one, which I think now that I look who's in the band, like. Definitely, there's
right.
There's those influences.
Those are kind of the 3 things going on here, yeah.
Right. But it's not bad. Like I like it, and this song has a great chorus, like maybe the best on the album. Like it really gets going.
Yeah, I agree. And it's funny. One of the things I didn't read from that Band Doppler interview is that he said that they wanted to write darker things, but not darker like Satanists. Just darker like. So yeah, a lot of the songs do have this kind of dichotomy between a darker verse and more of just like a poppy kind of catchy, not overly catchy, but catchy chorus. Yeah. And then we get some good, nice dynamics here for the third verse. The guitars drop out and we just get this fantastic, rumbling, fuzzy bass and drums and vocals. And then, Jay, you know what happens next? We go into the chorus, and they do the same goddamn thing where they drop out the guitars, and it's just the bass and everything. But you know what? It still works. I don't know if they think we're suckers, but I guess I am. It does that until the end, but they have a little bit more of that thing guitar coming back.
It's got a good enough melody that it really just carries it even without the guitar there. It's funny, like, as you were playing it, and I was thinking about this, like, this is another, so many of the bands actually we talk about on the show are like this. This is another good example of a band that, like, clearly everyone in this is experienced. This is not their first band. They played in a bunch of other bands. They're pretty talented musicians. And so even though this is their first album, it's got a lot of like more complex stuff going on. And just like the fact that they can ride that bass line and know that it's going to work right there tells you that like they're more experienced. You know what I mean? It's just, they've got some stuff happening. And I think this is kind of this like alternative Christian music at this time was a lot like this, right? Like there have been a couple of cycles through. A lot of these people have been in multiple bands. By this point, like, you know, I'm not saying this is like groundbreakingly original, but it's not bad for what it is. Like,
no, it's just good music.
Yeah, exactly. Like they've been going long enough, and so I think you have to give it credit for that.
Yeah, and that's one of the fun things I had in digging into the past. You know, like I said, for me, 1988, Kreepdowns come out of nowhere. Right? That's my experience as a kid. But looking back on it, this, like, Michael's been around since the 80s. All of them have been around since the 80s,
right?
Honestly.
Yeah, and a lot of them have played in like a lot of different bands. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, they've been part of that Christian underground that's kind of made all of this happen.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. It's honestly sad they didn't get, you know, they did the hard work, right? They're the ones out there creating this scene that other people just stumbled into later on and had a lot of, not that those people weren't really good musically, you know, but yeah.
Yeah, fair.
All right. Anything else to say about the song itself?
No. You want me to read the lyrics?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, these are in shorter than the first line. It says, "This picture's wrong, now paint it black. How did we get this bloody mess? This deep frustration drives me mad." And then the chorus is, "Can't stand the beauty that I don't select." And then he says, "I'm going to bury this today. It's got to go, that funny stuff, because I know I'm going to pay." That's it.
That's it. What do you think it's about?
Here's what I wrote. "What is this about? Question mark." And I wrote, "I do like the chorus. That is a good line. And I agree. I can't stand the beauty that I don't select." Like,
right?
That's a good line. I kept reading through this and I was like, but I'm still not exactly sure like what he's getting at.
Mm-hmm. Here's my notes. I honestly don't know what this song is trying to say, but I do understand I like the things I like and have a hard time liking things just because I'm told to like them. Is that what this is about? I have a feeling it's supposed to be something like that, but with the guilt that it's God telling you to like what to like. So by not liking it, you're a shitty sinner or something.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, maybe that's not in there. Maybe we're reading too much into it, but it wouldn't surprise me if there was some of that.
Hold your horses, Jay.
Oh,
grab something to hold on to because
shit.
we got the spiral notes. Okay.
Okay.
Here's what it says for this song. Sometimes we just need to examine ourselves and make the necessary changes, for nothing is uglier than sin.
Oh, God damn it.
Yeah.
Kind of sucks, doesn't it? Like, you're looking back on these songs, you're like, oh, that's pretty nice. And then you're reading, you're like, oh, shit, that's what he meant.
I know. But, like, there's a very nice, like, just, like, little bit of, like, little truth there. You know, it's like, yeah, we all like the beauty that we like, right? Like, we all have individual tastes. And we like the things we like, and we have a hard time being told what to like, you know? And, yeah, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But then it gets, you know.
But if you selected it, not God.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I guess that puts to rest a lot of speculation about what this song is about, and
There we
we'll
go.
move on.
Okay. All right. Song number 3, Hey Butterfly.
All right, here's my notes for this. Here's my first 3 notes for this song are more, fuzzy, and guitars.
Fair.
Yeah. But these fuzzy guitars have a little bit more presence to them, which is like a little more treble to them, kind of giving them like a stronger attack. And as we've grown used to, the verses are pretty short here. After one verse with vocals kind of really buried about as deep as a Christian producer I think is willing to go, we get a nice kind of like swirling guitars and cymbals before kind of like anticlimactically, and in my opinion, beautifully, descends into another verse of buried vocals.
You say I don't know what I wanna be what I wanna be. I wanna be what I wanna be. I care, and that is what you.
That whole thing, I mean, the little part in the middle with the cymbals and everything is two chords, but the whole like first verse, second verse, they're just singing on one thing, just one chord the entire time.
Yeah.
But they let kind of I think the drums are interesting there. Plus, there's just so much texture to those guitars. I think they let that carry it, and it works. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So the chorus kind of gives us a much simpler guitars, and Michael's kind of almost screaming vocals. Hey butterfly, don't flutter by, which sound bright and cheerful next to the verse. Honestly.
Everybody's laughing at me. Everybody's laughing at me. Hey, butterfly, don't flutter by. Hey, butterfly, don't flutter by.
That kind of liminal space between the chorus and the next verse. I think it's the right stereo channel. One of the guitar drops out, and you kind of just hear like fingers dragging across strings. And
Yeah, I like that part.
it feels good, you know. yeah. So we get to the third verse. Honestly, it's more melodic in some ways. Go listen to it yourself. It's a good album. I think because the vocals are maybe more irregular. You know what? I'll just play it because it is interesting. And as much as I like this song, it does push the solo into Guitar God Land, which really annoys me. But yeah, it's fine. Let's skip forward to kind of towards the end of the song. We're going to lead a little bit of a bridge here, which lyrically is going to become important later. And by the way, the vocals that were kind of really interesting in that third verse, he's singing, "The devil creeps in so carefully." I think this has a lot in common with kind of, you know, the shoegaze thing that was going on in the early 90s. I mean, there's not a lot that you can say here is very similar to shoegaze, except for the wall of sound and kind of that piercing guitar right there, you know, that kind of just cuts through the fuzz.
You didn't play much of it because I know you don't love that part, but the guitar kind of solo on this reminds me a lot. And I even went back and listened to it, and it's not not copycat, but it's just reminiscent of The Fly by U2 on their Octung Baby album, like 91. Like, so I know it's older, but like very similar kind of on this song, the guitar solo.
Okay.
I know they do solos on other songs, not the same, but this one,
Right.
I was getting vibes of that for sure.
I don't know you two. Don't like them. Don't listen to them. But let's play it here and see if anyone else thinks that.
Yeah, I'm curious if anybody hears it, and if you think I'm right, let us know. If you think like, no,
Look,
Jay, you're totally off, that's fine too.
I mean, not liking you two and not listening to much, you can still hear the edge in there, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like that one is just like, it's the same tone. Like I did go back and listen to The Fly like side by side with that, and I was like, okay, it definitely. I'm not that far off. Like it's not like a copycat melody, but it's that same kind of sound. Like you know.
Yeah.
So
I agree. Okay. Cool. All right. Anything else before we get into lyrics?
no. You want me to read them again?
Do it.
You say I don't know what I want. I want to be what I want to be. I care. It matters what you think. Everybody's laughing at me. And the chorus is, hey, butterfly, don't flutter by. Next verse. What's this? It cannot be for real. The devil creeps in so carefully. What a drag. And then it ends with, you give me wings of doubt.
Give me wings of doubt.
Which I think that line is great because it like turns on it. Yeah, it turns on its head like all the typical like kind of Christian stuff, even though I'm sure they're not meaning it the way I appreciate it.
Right?
I think it's cool.
Yeah. But it's a great line. And I also just like the devil creeps in so carefully. Yeah, I like these lyrics, honestly. What do you think this is about, Jay?
I mean, my only thought was like something about literally just what we said, the devil creeping in and seeding doubt and that kind of thing. But I still don't really understand, hey, butterfly, don't flutter by. Like, I couldn't really put it together.
Yeah. What I wrote here is, this feels very much like the previous song. Kind of like a take this throne away from me, my flesh wants the things of this world, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. So kind of like we aren't following God completely, the devil creeps in and destroys us, kind of like you're saying, right? Which, let's assume that's true for a second, okay, Jay?
Mm-hmm.
Why is God such a fucking wuss? Like, we're all sinful, right? So the only way God can get to us is through sin and doubt, right? So why is that then the most dangerous thing in the world? When it's the only way he can reach us? Yeah. I think, my interpretation or my thought on why it's dangerous. The church doesn't want you thinking too hard. They want you to shut up and believe.
Right, and if it's, I mean, that essentially makes it about like behavior control, right? Which is something that it can be done, Right.
We can't control your thoughts, but we can keep you from thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because if you think that, that's bad, and you should feel bad about, X, Y, Z.
Yeah. And now, I will say, doubt was definitely considered like a sin in the church I grew up in. I think there's been some changes since then, some like when our generation came into leadership, I think there were some things that changed into, lean into the doubt, reconstructing or deconstructing and then reconstructing your faith is fine, so long as you end up with faith in the end. But yeah, definitely in the church that I grew up in, doubt was a sin.
Yeah, which almost makes just side note, almost makes people doubt more because it's
Yeah.
like, don't doubt. You're like, okay, can't doubt, can't. Oh God, am I doubting? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
like when you tell people you can't do it, it just makes it worse.
Yes.
I don't know.
All right, you ready for what the spiral says?
Tell us.
When not focused, the mind becomes entangled with gibberish thoughts. I don't know.
Oh, that clarifies it.
Yeah. I think it is what you're saying, kind of the butterfly is kind of the gibberish thoughts, I guess, and it becomes the wings of doubt, which is still a great line.
Interesting.
Yeah. So your mind has to be focused all the time because we can't control what you think, but we can control that you think or not.
There you go.
All right. So we're skipping the next song.
Mm-hmm.
I like it too, but had to cut something. This is the song though where the title of the album comes from.
Right.
There is a line, it's haunting all around me, on and on. Take a dive, take a spin. Track 5 is Cello.
And spoiler alert, I never heard a cello in the goddamn song, Clifton. I got excited. My first note was, will this have a cello in it? Don't hear one yet. And there's never one.
You might be right. I didn't even think to look for a cello because
it's called cello.
Yeah, but it's a metaphor. I mean, all right,
whatever.
Okay, so this is probably the most like radio ready song on the entire album, and because of that, or at least for it, it feels different. Like from the start, it starts out with kind of a lead guitar riff, kind of right out in front, still fuzzy guitars, but the vocals are way more out front than all the other songs. It's higher tempo than the other songs. The vocals are less nasally on this one. Other than that, the song is basically a Kreepdowns song. We still have the 3-syllable lines in the verses, Turn it around, let it go. The song, the chorus is a bit higher spirit and catchy than the rest of the song, There's a part in here which really makes me think of Quail, which I'm going to play in a minute, but let's just kind of get an idea for what the song sounds like. So like if you took the Kreepdowns and you made them put on like a suit, that was ironed, and you made them comb their hair and brush their teeth, this is what you would get. I think.
I did note in my notes too. This is like the simplest song we've done so far. It's just like pretty, standard verse chorus, just pretty straight ahead rock.
It is. And, there's fuzzy guitars and it's loud. It's not quite as wall of sound. So yeah, I think it's just a more radio friendly version of this. But I do like a part here kind of Michael really kind of digs in with his vocals. This is probably my favorite part of the song. All right. Anything else to say about the song?
No.
All right. You want to read the lyrics here?
Sure. He says, turn it around, let it go. It cannot be when you know. It ain't over. Cello. Hello. Turn it around. You had to lie. I don't believe that. You had to lie. Can't you see that? Turn it around. Make it gold. Like when you were on fire and I was cold. It ain't over. Cello. Hello.
That's it. What do you think it's about?
Talking about a friend that needs to come back to God?
Ooh, that's more than I got out of it. I was like, is it just about lying?
But I don't know what the cello is. You said
Yeah,
it's a
me neither.
metaphor. I'm struggling, Clifton.
Look, I said I assumed it was a metaphor.
So
least
you
that's
don't
what I
know
meant to
either.
No, I have no clue. This is a weird song.
I don't know. Like when he said, like when you were on fire and I was cold, turn it around or something. I was just thinking
Yeah.
like maybe a friend that used to be on fire for God. And
Mhm. I do like the turn it around thing because that's a really good interpretation. But then the line thing can also be turn it around. Like turn it around. Like, would you want to be treated like this? You know?
yeah.
I don't know.
I do want to take pause for a moment and, you know, on the video you uploaded to YouTube, we had a commenter. This is at Kelton in Florida, 3009. About 9 months ago, he said, he was referring to the album and he said, this album is a testimony to my life. I listened back in the day and God pulled me through with this. Can't find it nowhere. And I don't doubt that he had that experience, but I'm also just like, this is so vague that I guess you could make this about anything, you know,
Yeah.
and maybe it did speak to him a lot. Obviously this album is important to some people if you look at the YouTube comments. So,
Yeah. Yeah. All right, you ready for the spiral?
tell us the spiral.
Return, ye children, and I will cure you of backsliding.
Oh, I was kind of right.
You are kind of right, yeah.
We still don't know what the cello is though.
No. But that comes from Jeremiah 3:22.
Mm-hmm.
It says, return ye backsliding children, and I will heal your backslidings. Behold, we come unto thee, for thou art the Lord our God. Return, ye backsliding children, and I will heal your backsliding. Behold, we come unto thee, for thou art Lord our God. Which I assume is kind of like a hymn, maybe, or a song in Jeremiah.
Still
Anyways.
don't understand the cello.
Nope, no clue on the cello. But, sounds good.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. We're going to skip the next song, Cut Me. It's too bad. It's really... So this song, I'm going to play a little bit, because it actually breaks our 3-syllable trend for the Kreepdowns, and it has this great little, like, rattlesnake shaky thing at the end of the chorus.
Okay.
It took a lot of patience getting here. To be content is a command. Waiting every day for answers, till I finally got a clue. So cut me.
Next one we're covering is track 7, You Will Wonder. I don't know if this is my favorite song on the album, but it's one of the ones that's always stuck in my head. And I enjoy it, so I don't mind. The verses on this song kind of have like a palm muting guitar thing, which is first, I think the only time we're going to hear that in this album, kind of like an alternative punk song. The chorus has this great melodic lead guitar riff under it, and Michael's vocals kind of go between this kind of very soft, almost resigned line, and then kind of a more gruff, emotive line with a nice lilt to it.
I will always cover
should have played this chorus.
Did
What
you
were
catch
laughing at?
the like squeak in his voice?
Yeah.
I kind
I
of
know,
like
I like
that. Yeah.
Me too.
Before you forget, I'll always cover. You will always wonder. I'll always cover. You will always wonder.
All right, and right here we get this really amazingly obnoxious bridge. That's just like, well, first off, it's more aggressive, and I think that Michael probably set a goal for himself to be just as nasally as possible. And I kind of love it. Little not too guitar goddish, not that bad kind of lead solo-y thing there.
I wanna go down. Sweet, come around. Better off gone. It won't be too long. I'll always cover. You will always wonder.
I like that lead guitar behind the chorus. All right. The only bad part about that song is that it fades out. Boo.
You not a fan of the fade outs?
No, Reba McEntire fades out songs.
It's weird to me when like bands do that, but kind of like this, but just for like one song on the album. We were like,
Yeah,
If
just
it
write
were-
an into the song.
if it were every song, like I feel like on some of those big pop albums, okay, fine. But
Right.
like, what made this one seem like it needed to fade out?
Yeah, and it's I think it's the second longest song on the album. Nope, third longest song on the album. It's pretty long, it's almost 4 minutes long. By the way, all the songs are like 3.5 minutes long. Except for a few exceptions. Which is perfect for pop songs. But, it's one of the longer songs on the album. I don't know though, like, yeah, why do you have to fade out? Just write an end to the song, it's I think it has so many nice pieces to it that you could have found one to end on there.
Also, if you ever play it live, you're not going to do a fade out. Like,
Yeah,
I
maybe
doubt
the-
somebody's soundboard's like, So, like, clearly they know how to end it live. I don't know. It's
Right,
just always
yeah,
strange.
yeah. Maybe they just jam this song really long when they do it live. I don't know. It's a good question. Yeah. Anything else before we get into the lyrics?
No.
All right. You want to read them?
Sure. I want to go down, sweet come.
Sorry.
I'll start over. I want to go down, sweet come around. Don't ask me where, I'm going there. I will always cover, you will always wonder. Sick of it all, you make me feel so small. Better off dead before you forget. I want to cover now, baby. Don't want to forget. Don't make me wonder, baby. Just get something so sweet. I want to go down, sweet come around. Better off gone. It won't be too long. I got
So
no
when I was a
clue.
kid, yeah, no. When I was a kid, I always thought that the lyrics were, "I will always come back, and you will always wonder," kind of with like a meaningful nod to wander kind of thing,
Okay, right. All right.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
which I like better
Yeah, kind
than
of do too.
"I will always cover." What the fuck does I will always
So I was
cover
wondering
mean?
about that, like covering something up or like covering a bet or like, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Like what?
cover a bet.
Like I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah. But then why would you always wonder? I don't know. All right. But you know what? I already know what "I Will Always Cover" means because I read about it in one of the interviews, which is basically that the blood of Jesus covers our sins. That's it.
Oh,
Yeah.
kind of disappointing.
I know. Yeah. I'm going to stick with my "I will always come back and you will always wonder" because it sounds better in my head. Yeah. It kind of has a mystery to it.
Okay.
Yeah. The Spiral says, "Know my heart."
Okay.
Yep. Very helpful, Spiral.
Thanks, Spiral.
All right. The next song, I think this is the last one we're covering, is "Red Ready." So this is the song that really hit me in my melancholy mood. All day alone, taking those pumps apart, way back when.
Mm-hmm.
It's also our only really like slow song on the album. Did you hate this one, Jay?
Yeah. I was just more like, this is such a different vibe than the rest of the songs. Like,
It is. Yeah. But I think first off, there's no fuzzy guitars in this song, guys.
right? No, it's totally like a different sound. Like, totally different.
Yeah. Did you ever listen to the Paper Cuts?
No, I have no idea who that is.
Okay. I wouldn't be surprised. They sound a lot like this. Kind of a lot of piano organ kind of driven.
Wait, were they a
Emotive.
Christian band?
No.
Oh, okay,
No.
okay. I
They're
was
from like 2008, 2009 kind of
okay.
indie rock. Yeah. I'll send them to you later. I really like one of their albums. I think their first album I thought was underwritten, and then their second album I thought was really good. But anyways, we'll come back. We don't have to talk about that.
Okay.
But anyways, I don't know if I would call this a ballad. Maybe it's like a dirge. It might be a dirge because dirge is for dead people. And let's get to this.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, all right. So our fuzzed out guitars are replaced by kind of this like stinging and slightly warbly organ sound. And the bass is kind of a lead instrument on this song. That sits real heavy on the top of everything with these drawn out notes. Like literally like they're drawn out note changes, and then we can kind of hear the texture of the string being drawn across frets. And the drums are kind of sharp and tight, kind of living on the hi-hat and the snare. Let's listen to that.
Have you fallen asleep? Blood cells still. To get right, I'm paranoid. Have you wake up, move your body, dance, little girl, to something ready, 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 ready,
So we have kind of a lightly strummed clean guitar in there, and Michael's vocals are not the normal nasally here. They're kind of really breathy, kind of occasionally a catch in his throat. And I think that delivery of red, ready, red, ready, red, ready, red, ready, red is just gorgeous, at least to me. Jay is probably bored right now.
No, that part was catchy, and I was surprised by like all he's saying is red, ready, red, ready, red, ready, red, ready, red. But it like works.
But it works, right?
Yeah, it does.
And
I
it's
hate to admit it.
infectious.
Right.
Yeah. So there's kind of this a more emotive version of the chorus here. Let me get to that. but that that emotive chorus kind of goes into this really beautiful lead guitar that's both like delicate and like the guitar's like really like fat and full at the same time. And then I really love the kind of distorted vocals there for the dance little girl, it'll come naturally.
What's this song about?
You want to read the lyrics?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I have much clarity after it, but it says, have you fallen asleep, blood cells still? Don't get annoyed, I'm paranoid. Have you? Have you? Wake up, move your body, dance little girl, do something, ready. Have you fallen asleep? Take a breath. You will die if you don't try. Have you? Have you? Dance little girl to come naturally, don't you fall asleep.
Blood cells still. I love that line.
Mm-hmm.
You will die if you don't try. Yeah. So what do you think? The problem is I already knew what this song was about going into it. So what do you think it's about?
I mean, maybe somebody dying or dead or something, which just kind of makes me sad, but I don't know.
Yeah. So what I read is that it's about the blood of Jesus is the red, ready to cover our sins or something like that. And I just say who the fuck cares? This is a gorgeous song. Find your own meaning. The lyrics are really evocative of just the struggle to survive through hardship and pain and life. Why taint it with some forced meaning about blood being red or something? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, I like it. I mean, dance little girl, it'll come naturally, don't you fall asleep. I think you can feel like this is almost, so I said it before, maybe a dirge. A dirge is a funeral song. So it's about the dead. And I think this song kind of hovers kind of in this don't give up, don't let death take you kind of world. So I don't know, I think it's a gorgeous little song here.
Nice.
You want to know what the spiral says?
Yeah, tell us.
All right. It says, seek, read, pray, live, tell, and do not become weary. Mm-hmm. All right. Galatians 6:9.
Oh, no.
And let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up. That Galatians is not referenced. That's just what came to mind for me when I read that.
Okay.
Yeah. Do not become weary. You know, I think that's fine. Yeah. I like it. It's a nice little song. All right. We're not covering the next two songs, but I'm going to play a little bit of them because they're great.
Do it.
This next one is called Real as Hell. It's probably the punkest song on the album. All right, there's some lyrics here. It says, "It seems real as hell, and if you don't understand, it still might just be true. On every third Halloween now, it's gonna take over you." I don't know. Maybe his original conception for this song, for this band was to be like the Deadlines and that kind of creepy punk thing, you know?
Okay, I could see that.
Yeah.
Definitely with the name.
Yeah. And then the last song is called Not Like That, and it is the most obnoxious song on the album.
Good thing it's
But
at the
never in a
end.
bad way, guys.
Oh, okay.
Never in a bad way.
What you saying? Telling
All right, Jay, what'd you think overall?
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not like, my most favorite or anything, but it's certainly not bad. It was pleasant to
Mhm.
listen to. I thought some of the songs, especially like the second one, were really pretty good.
Mhm.
And I would have liked to hear like a second album and see how they
Yes.
progressed as a band. So
Me too. Yeah. Yeah, it's let me say this. I enjoyed listening to this in preparing for this album. I listened to it a lot. More than I usually listen to the albums for preparing for this. I probably listened to it 10 or 12 times just driving. That's not even in actually sitting down and to prepare for it. I was just listening to this for casually. It was very nice. Yeah. So, I have some reviews here, Jay.
from
Yeah. The first two are from Amazon.
Okay.
2 stars. Not near as good as Acoustic Shack.
What?
Since this was so darn cheap and I loved Acoustic Shack, of which Michael Misuik was half, I thought I'd give it a shot. It isn't the worst album I've ever heard, but there wasn't a single good song on here that could even remotely compare to Radio Play, Torment Party, It's Good to Know, Bad Moon Rising, or even It's a Mystery. I guess those are Radio Shack songs.
Acoustic Shack.
Radio Shack. Acoustic Shack songs.
Shack.
Part of the problem is that Lisa always bested Michael in the vocals department to begin with, though Red Door and Carry Me to My Castle weren't bad. But this also seems to be some weird musical experiment for Michael, not his usual cool riffs. Just a lot of 3-chord jamming in a really bad punk style. No fast guitar scales, no catchy tunes, no terribly profound lyrics. This album is bland as peanut butter without jelly. I guess I'll have to dig out my old Fret Buzz off the shelf. Yeah. Here's what I have to say to that. Next one. 4 stars. It's got a lot of great songs to offer. Very raw album that honestly could have used a bit more polish. It's got a lot of great songs to offer though. If you're into raw, grungy sounds similar to some of the things that Smashing Pumpkins might put out, it's worth a listen. It's a shame they didn't record more, because I can only imagine that their next album would have really found their niche. I agree.
Yeah, fair.
All right. This next one is by that band Doppler. Now, this is their review of the album. Just when I thought alternative rock was dead, Betty Rocket says, scrap that, and puts out a band with influences ranging from Smashing Pumpkins to the Ramones. And you know what? It kicks. Just to make sure we are clear, this is not your basic Nirvana Radiohead ripoff. This is fresh, alternative rock and roll, with deep lyrics, incredible vocals, and some of the punkest loud distorted guitars you've ever heard. The Kreepdowns are quite frankly amazing. They're passionate, ranging from whine rock, as in WHINE, and melodic singing to emo-type tortured, emotion-filled screams and cries. And while these uncanny vocals are probably the first thing that will make an impression on you, they're not a one-man band by any means. The instrumentation is just as incredible, with complex chord changes and funky, surprising climaxes and progressions. This is the music that got us swaying and crashing in the early 90s, with enough innovation and originality to be relevant in the late 90s and beyond. I can't recommend this album enough, and I will stake my reputation on this one. If you buy this album, you will love it. I don't care what kind of music you're into, you will appreciate and enjoy the Kreepdowns. 5 cows. Seriously. Cows.
Okay, man, he's maybe a little more enthusiastic than I would be on this.
Yeah. Little too far.
Yeah.
Little too far. All right, the next one is from a blog called Ubuntu Cat. This was entitled. This is just a little bit pulled from an article called "I Miss Acoustic Shack." It's no early Acoustic Shack. It's actually quite a bit heavier, a lot more electric guitar and screaming. I just gave it a quick listen, and so far, Cello, the second track, which is wrong, is the only one that's halfway decent. All right. And the last one here is from the Phantom Toll Booth. 3.5 clocks. They give clocks, not cows. I picked this up after seeing their advert quoting Michael Knott, cool, rippin', vibe and action. And Michael Pritzel of The Violent Burning, amazing. And it's pretty darn good. Driving guitars with biting distortion, big and powerful drumming, and well-written songs. Turn out Michael Masuik of Acoustic Shack is the guitarist and vocalist here, but the music bears no resemblance to that early 90s rock band, thankfully. Other notables lend a hand as well. Ed Benrock, LSU mortal drummer, pounds the skins on half the tracks, and Gene Eugene works his magic on the mixing board. The music has a bit of indie rock cool, some burst of punk energy, and a few moments of reverb-drenched Radiohead isms, tasty lead guitars, and generous amounts of edgy alternative pop sensibilities. Masuik's vocal range is good, from whispery singing to nasal Billy Corgan-ish Smashing Pumpkins snarls. His wife Laura, singer for Acoustic Shack, joins another woman for backup vocals on Red Ready, the only mellow meditative track. Songs like Select, Hey Butterfly, Red Ready, and Not Like That can hold their own with any alternative rock out there these days. Yeah.
Clifton, I think I'm going to get a drum set so I can tell my wife that I'm going to go down in the basement and pound my skins.
Pound some skins. Yeah, do it. It'd be loud down there, though.
I will say that his wife is actually the sister, I think, of Michael Pritzel of The Violet Burning. So there's a direct connection there. And it seems clear from all the reviews you read that people really liked Acoustic Shack.
Right.
Honestly, after hearing that one song, I don't get it, but probably
Yeah.
there's a listener out there that's like, fuck you, Jay, they're really good. So, like, you should write in and tell us why.
It's a different appreciation for music. It's not my kind of music, but it's, I'm not gonna shit on someone else's good times, I guess.
Well, I mean, really?
All right, let's talk about this cover art and album packaging.
I
what do you
mean,
think?
it's got like the star thing that was starting to be a thing. You remember that just at this time period, they just put stars on every goddamn thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, and even the font, you're right, kind of gives it that creepy, like, I don't know. What do you think of the cover? I don't love it. I don't know why I don't like it so much, but.
So it has stars on it, and it has like a picture of a hand rolling some dice, which maybe is a take on Take a Spin, which might be a reference to, what's the board? What's the thing that you gamble with and you spin it,
Oh, I know what you mean.
Yeah, that game.
That thing.
Yeah,
You
so
spin around.
maybe it's a casino type thing, and they really play up some of the casino stuff and some other artwork as well. And it does have this weird kind of late 90s, we're heading into emo, also mixed in with kind of some grungy type things here. Overall, I think it's a mess though. It's just not inspiring, and it should have been something different completely. Yeah. The inside actually is better. It still has some of those stars. There's that spiral thing with the little notes about each song, and then there's just some pictures of them singing and playing and stuff like that. It has some credits here, not a lot though. Some for booking and merchandise info, write us at the Kreepdowns, P.O. Box 1402, Lake Forest, California 92630. Tells you where to get their lyrics online. Honestly, I think the way the CD looks, which is more just a flat version of it's black, and there's the stars on the left, and then there's just the Kreepdowns, which is kind of this hand-scrawled Kreepdowns thing. I like it better.
Yeah, it's a little better. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the layering on everything else is just too much, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Unsuccessful. I think the album could have done a lot better if the packaging was conceived differently.
I'm with you. I definitely would have changed the font for the band.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. I also think the name of the album is horrible. Take a Spin. It's impossible to Google search, first off, which I know was not necessarily a thing in 1998, but it's horrible. Even besides that, it's just bland, maybe. You know?
Yeah.
Anything else?
No.
On their website, they invited fans to write in and tell them what they thought Kreepdowns meant. I do like some of them. One of them here is from Dan Hillard. Your jeans, if too large and you fail to wear your belt of truth, slowly but surely resulting in exposure and embarrassment.
Oh my God. Belt of truth. God.
That's pretty good.
Oh God.
From Andrew Allen, Kreepdowns, one who helps others get on their knees and fight like a man.
Oh my God. Why does it always have to be about something Christian?
What seems to happen to your pantyhose at the worst timing? Or a band with a really awesome gal from Maryland who's in charge of the fan club. I guess that's probably the person who wrote this.
Yeah.
Leah? I don't know. What? Leigh. How would you pronounce that?
Lee.
Lee. Okay, cool. Too many letters. All right. Here's a good one. The Kreepdowns originally were a ska band called the Kreeptones that were fronted by Michael M. and Rich Mendez. With the advice of bass player / legal consultant Dan Mole, the Kreeptones became the Kreepdowns. Along with the transformation of name came a transformation of sound. Michael puts his saxophone down and started taking guitar lessons from Eric Campazano of the Lassie Foundation. It's not bad.
I mean, I'd believe it if you had told me that. If you just read it, I'd be like, "Oh, cool."
Yeah, and in that one band Doppler, they make a big deal out of they wanted to not be a ska band. That's kind of their one thing they all agreed on when they originally formed, was that they weren't going to be a ska band. All right, Jay, that's all I have here for this album.
Well, do you know anything about where they are now?
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit. All right, I'm going to start off here with something from the rest of that band Doppler interview, which came out a little bit after the album, so it gives us a little clue here. With a humble resolve to make the most honest music they know, and a heart for reaching the most through their art, lives, and behavior, the Kreepdowns' future is wide open. As for the plans for the future, Michael put it like this. I've kind of been around for a while. I've done a few records in the CMI, Christian music industry, and I really would like to see the Creeps take off. It could happen. Weirder things have happened. Otherwise, we'll just keep on rocking throughout the year. All four of us have toured and played in several bands and done records. What's next is to do it in a bigger way. Otherwise, the change we'd like to see is us being used as vessels for God more. God has a different plan for us all. What one might think the Kreepdowns should be doing is not necessarily what God wants the Kreepdowns to do. Some think we ought to be Billy Graham on rock, but unfortunately we're not. We're just plain old Joes playing in a rock band and being Christians 24/7. No new album this year. We just want to carry out the year with this record. I want to see if the Lord comes back this year. He didn't. Yeah. From their website a few years after this album, after the release of Take a Spin on Betty Rocket Records in 1998, the Kreepdowns played an onslaught of shows from Alaska to Nebraska. Okay, not Nebraska, but you get the picture. The release of this record shook up the scene with a bit of emo and alt-rock when ska was the flavor of the month. Michael's been busy last year producing and recording Acoustic Shack, an alternative Americana album. The Shack's album is compiled of legendary hymns and a couple new tunes written by Michael himself. The album was recorded at Masuak's home studio, The Bell. Please check out acousticshack.com and order a CD. I really couldn't find, like in the Wayback Machine, there was only one capture of the Acoustic Shack and it never, none of the links worked, so I couldn't find much there. All right, so Michael and his wife Laura put out another Acoustic Shack album around the time of this release called A Distant Bell, and another called Redeeming the Time. And then in 2004, he put out a solo album. Herb Grimmond on bass went on to be in The Violent Burning, Stranger Kings, and The Sound Gallery. Ed Benrock played drums for Alice Underground, Mortal, Starflyer, and some Michael Knott albums. And that's it. That's all I know. Jay may have found a LinkedIn, but it's kind of hard to say.
Yeah, there's a LinkedIn, might be him, but I'm not sure. Clifton, what's your award for this album?
All right, Jay, I'm going to give this album the award. Because it's a good album. Not groundbreaking, but good.
All right, fair. That works.
Yeah. That clip is from Arrested Development.
Oh, you sent me the whole clip, and I was like, I thought he was going to play that whole, like, the, like, 2-minute clip you sent me. Okay, I got it now. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Clifton, what are we going to do next time?
We are going to listen to the hip-hop brainwash projects. Why is it plural?
Clifton, come on. Just get with it.
Okay.
It's Brainwash Project.
The rise and fall of brainwash projects from Jackson Rubio Entertainment, also released in 1998.
25 years ago, just re-released on vinyl recently, so it'd be nice to revisit. I'm excited.
Cool.
And this is one I don't think you ever heard, right?
I've never listened to this. I never heard of this before you put it on the list.
Well, I am excited then, because this will be your first real fresh take on this. And I honestly don't. I've known you for a long time, Clifton. I'm like, I don't even know if you like hip hop.
Some, if it's poppy and melodic, I do.
I think you'll probably actually. Well, we'll see. I don't know.
All
I
right.
don't want to say.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Your Music Saved Us.
If you enjoyed your time with us, please leave us a review or share this episode. Visit patreon.com/YMSU to contribute and get extended episodes. Visit our website, yourmusicsavedus.com, to find out all the ways to listen. We're on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Join our Facebook group or follow us to keep up with the latest or interact with us, and send complaints and disagreements to yourmusicsavedus@gmail.com.
The music in this episode is the work of the Kreepdowns and is used with apologies, not permission. And you know what? I don't know. Like, there's no Acoustic Shack out there. There's no Kreepdowns. Like, I don't know how to support these guys.
Yeah, we would tell you if it was on Bandcamp or something, but it doesn't seem to be. So if anybody has
No.
contact with them, tell them to throw that stuff up there so at least people can support it.
Yeah. But what I can tell you is that I have a ton of sources, even beyond what I shared here. So if you want to find out more about the Kreepdowns, check the show notes.
Perfect.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, everybody.